Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So in this particular episode, I will be explaining about the architecture of the Constellation Design System. Okay, how it works and what are the public APIs we have. Okay, in order to render into the some custom based UI. Okay, how these API works and what are the functions that are responsible to render the onto the custom UI as well. Okay, and what are the steps that has that will participate in the architecture of those and what are the other elements as well. Okay, so we will be learning in this particular session. Okay, so if you are visiting for the first time, right, so if you haven't subscribed to our channel, so please I'm requesting you to subscribe to my channel so that you can't miss any sort of updates regarding the Pega and as well as career as well. All right, yeah, so without wasting the time, let's go ahead. So yeah, so this is nothing but Constellation UI architecture. Okay, so I will be explaining in a very good example. Okay, so I articulated for you itself. Okay, so why? Because see here, we have you know we have been revisiting number of times from the at the uh, Pega PDM network, right? Okay, so we will be having a great knowledge at that. Okay, so they will be providing a great knowledge and they will be providing I can say many videos as well, right? Tutorial videos as well. And however, we will be having a many missions as well. Okay, so from that we have gained a lots of knowledge from that PDM. All right, but few of them might be stucking at some point, right? So in order to clarify all those things, okay, so I curated uh, from the source, obviously from the Pega PDN, and I have curated in my own words so that it will be easily understandable by the uh, you know uh, who can learn the Pega Constellation design systems as well. Okay, so these for the basic. Okay, yeah. So in order to understand in a great manner, right? Okay, so please keep this UI architecture in handy so that I will be explaining each and every component. For suppose this is nothing but what Constellation presentation component, so like that I will be explaining each and every components. Okay, so if you make this handy, right, if you seeing in your mobile or laptop kind of thing. Okay, so whatever I say, okay, so you will be following in a sequential manner. Okay, so how it renders, okay, everything. Okay, so I'm requesting you to take this picture, or else if you have, then it's take it handy. All right, yeah, so without wasting the time, so this is nothing but what Constellation UI architecture. So if I keep on explaining, right, okay, so I think so you have a great idea on, okay, all these things, but I will be re-explaining each and every term, but not right now. Okay, if I explain, if I keep on explaining like this, right, so you can't be understand in a great way. Okay, so that's my point actually. So yeah, so without wasting the time, let's go to the first slide. So in this we will be having a Constellation design system. So what are the elements we have? All right, so everything we will be saying. All right, so in this, first of all, we will be having a Constellation presentational components. Okay, so as I said, right, so this is nothing but what we will be going through. First element called Constellation presentation components. Later on we will be having a Constellation DX components, followed by the extended DX components as well. So this is nothing but traditional, okay, OOTB I can say. Okay, so this is nothing but what alternate design system, right? So if you want to render your custom UI kind of thing, right, React, okay, JS kind of thing, Angular JS kind of thing. Okay, if you want to render some other web components, then you can very well do from the alternate design systems actually. Okay, right, so we will be I will be explaining about these alternate presentation components, alternate DX components, and React, Angular JS, and everything. Okay, and followed by Pega CDN and everything I will be explaining in a sequential manner. Okay, so that's why I said to keep it in handy. All right, so first I will be explaining about this Constellation presentation components. Yeah, so see here, so what I have done means, I have made this in a story kind of thing, wherein we will be having a restaurant, okay, so which runs in a franchisee kind of thing. Okay, so franchise is nothing but what we will be having a mini stores as well, right? We will be having a I can say a restaurant, okay, which runs with a I can say a you know which stores some sort of recipes as well, okay, and we will be having a kitchen as well, okay, we will be having a center stores as well, okay. So each and every thing I have inculcated in a such a way that you will be understanding our Pega Constellation architecture in a deeper way. All right. So here I have termed it as like consideration presentation components with the recipe book. Okay. So usually recipe book is nothing but what we will be having a how to make a particular recipe, like procedure we can say. Okay. So ingredients I can say. Okay. So the quantity level, so that it will be in order to make in a consistent way. Okay, so like that I have term it as a recipe book, so that we can have a reference kind of thing. Okay, so whatever we make any sort of recipe, so we will be taking a recipe book as a reference, so that it will be in a leading to the I can say consistency. Okay, same like that in we will be having, see here, we will be having a many Pega applications, obviously, okay, which is built on what Pega, Constellation Design System. All right. Yeah. So in order to make in a, I can say consistent brand experience. So that's why I term it as a consideration present components as a recipe book. Okay. Right. So this is nothing but what one kind of a element. Okay. And moving second, so we will be having a Pega CDN. Okay, so Pega CDN is nothing but I can say a cloud kind of thing, so wherein we will be having a caching mechanism. Okay, so that we will be I can say data retrieving and I can say that the data populating can faster. Okay, right, which leads to very faster I can say. Okay, so in this way what I have term it as nothing but centralized ingredients warehouse. Okay, so warehouse is nothing but what which combines. Okay, so whatever what we need actually for suppose like ingredients I can say. Okay, ingredients and everything. Okay, so we are maintaining at a warehouse. Okay, so whenever we need, okay, whenever we need nothing but what, whenever the restaurant need, okay, so that they can visit to the this warehouse and they can buy that and they can take that. Okay, and they can make some sort of recipes at particular restaurant. Okay, so this is nothing but what we can say centralized ingredient warehouse, that is nothing but Pega CDN. Okay, so why we need to use this centralized ingredient warehouse for a particular restaurant? Why? Because in order to make a consistency. All right, in order to make a consistency, in order to make a we should not deviate from their recipe kind of thing. Okay, as per their SOP, like I said, right, recipe book. Okay, so in order to maintain that consistency, so that's why uh, that restaurant owners need to visit to the particular warehouse. All right. So in this particular, yeah, in this Pega CDN as well, so we will be having a ready-made UI element, so that we can render those, we can utilize those, we can reuse those in order to maintain consistency way. Okay, so that's why how term it as a Pega CDN as a warehouse kind of thing. Okay, now this has been completed, and now moving to the third, that is nothing but uh, Constellation DX components. Okay, now what is meant by Constellation DX components? Here I term it as a manager's pantry. Okay, now why manager's pantry? So why? Because see here, every every restaurant has its small pantry kind of thing. Okay, in that they make recipes, okay, using with predefined ingredients as well. Okay, so which they have taken from the I can say like local warehouse kind of thing. Okay, they have taken from the warehouse, and now the recipes, okay, where they are making so into a smaller pantry. Okay, now what happened means already they have taken those ingredients from the from the warehouse, right? Now if any customer orders some sort of recipes, right? Now what they will do in the pantry, they start the process. Okay, so that it leads to a consistency, okay, with the help of warehouse ingredients and as well as a recipe book. Okay, so this how this leads actually. So I have termed it Constellation DX components as a manager's pantry. Okay, now why? Because see here, this represents additional components or customization unique to a specific Pega applications. For suppose, see here, every restaurant has a smaller pantry, I can say. Okay, now what we can do, if we want to customize something, we can very well do, right? Okay, we can very well do with the pre-approved ingredients. For suppose, if some customer asks some sort of recipe kind of thing. Okay, if you want to make some some by taking some sort of leverage kind of thing, we can add some more customized kind of thing. Okay, so like for suppose sandwich kind of thing, if you are making some sort of sandwich, if they are if you want to make it in a some pre-customized manner, with by utilizing, by leveraging all the predefined components, like predefined ingredients, then you can very well use with the predefined, and you can use with the which resulted into predefined or else customized thing product, I can say. Okay, so that is nothing but Constellation DX components. Okay, so with the help of these DX components, you can very well customize the things. Actually, that is nothing but applications. Okay, right. And the fourth element, we can say alternate design system. Okay, so up to now we have used traditional, that is nothing but OOTBs kind of thing, wherein so with if we want to develop any sort of application using Constellation design system, we will be having a predefined. Okay, if you want to make it little bit customized kind of thing, you will be having this Constellation DX components, you can very well do. Okay, so that's what I mean to say actually. Okay, so here are we making any sort of fully customizing? Nothing, right? We are not in a state to customize the whole applications or whole requirement. Okay, we are just making our a little bit I can say customized uh, you know in order to make in a unique way. Like for suppose, as I said, right, as I have taken the example of the sandwich. Okay, I'm not making fully customizing thing that that resulted in a complete unique way. Okay, I'm taking that predefined elements, predefined recipe, and predefined ingredients, and I'm making in a little customization. Okay, with the help of predefined elements. Okay, so here as well, the application which is built on the Pega Constellation design system. Okay, by leveraging and by utilizing the predefined elements and predefined whatever we have. Okay, components. This is nothing but what? Constellation design system. Now coming to the, we have alternate design system. Now alternate design system is nothing but what? For suppose, if I want to create a UI, okay, not in Pega environment. Okay, something like, for suppose, if I have if I want to create particular UI onto the other, like we will be having many Java, like JavaScript libraries, right? Like we will be having ReactJS and or else AngularJS. Okay, so if you want to create, or if you want to render, okay, other than Pega environment, then we need to use for the word alternate design system. Okay, now Pega Constellation is also leveraging the capabilities in order to design our UI onto the non-Pega as well. Now how we can do? Now which APIs are responsible? Now what is the process behind? And what are the elements behind? Okay, now let's dig deep into this section called alternate presentational components. So here I'm making alternate presentational components with the custom recipe book. Okay, earlier we used to have a recipe book but not custom recipe book. Okay, but here we are taking some sort of lenience by customizing our own recipe. Okay, so that is the thing actually. Earlier, what you need to do, whatever we have the standard SOP, I can say. Okay, so we will be having a standard recipe book, whatever they have. Okay, whatever they have written, or else whatever it has. Okay, now we need to implement on mandatory. Why? Because in order to maintain a consistency. Okay, whatever the applications you built on the Pega Constellation design system, those are all in a consistent manner. Why? Because they are using the predefined, they are not customizing the thing, like we said, alternate design systems. But here, now what they are making, they are making like custom recipe book. Now with the help of this custom recipe book, now there is a, it resulted into what, in a complete unique way. Okay, right. So they are taking some sort of lenience with the recipe book so that they can prepare some more unique recipes with the help of ingredients, custom ingredients. Okay, right. So here this maps into what your custom React components created from the scratch. Okay, so that's why I mentioned this point. Okay, now for suppose if you want to, develop some sort of UI using some other React components. Okay, now you obviously you need to develop from the scratch. Okay, you're not utilizing the predefined. Okay, so that's why I termed the point. All right, so this has been completed. And the second element, which is nothing but what alternate design system stats assets I can say. For suppose earlier what we used to have, okay, in the previous slides what we have used a warehouse kind of thing. But here, yeah, in the what happens in the warehouse, so whatever we have that ingredients we need to pick, that's it. Okay, outside is not allowed. But over here in this particular thing, as we are not developing an UI in the Pega environment, but we are developing this UI onto this other JavaScripts, like we'll be having Angular or ReactJS. Obviously, we having a so much lenience. That's why I term it as a farmers market. So in this farmers market, what happens? We have the we have the so much capabilities. We have the so much lenience. We can pick any vegetable. We can pick any ingredients, and we can create our own recipe. That's what I said. Okay, we have the fully accessible to the n number of components, so that it resulted into a beautiful UI based the design, I can say. Okay, so that's why what I said, we can use the leverage of custom React libraries and many design frameworks as well. Okay, so that's why I said that we have the freedom. Okay, so that's why I intentionally term it as alternate design systems as a farmers market. Okay, now I think you make some sense, right? Okay, like what are the differences between Pega Constellation Design System and as well as alternate design systems. All right, yeah. And the third element would be extension DX components. Okay, now this is the main, I can say, main idea, main bridge, I can say. Okay, now extension DX components mean what? For suppose, yeah, here we will be having a some specialized kitchen tools. Now why we need some specialized kitchen tools? If we want to make some sort of unique recipe, obviously we need to have some sort of some unique tools as well. For suppose if you want to chop some chop potatoes or something. Okay, like if you want to design some potato chips into the another manner, like circular shape or else some angular shape, so what it may be, we need, obviously we need some some specialized tools in order to make that in a beautiful output. Obviously with the predefined tools we can't able to develop. Okay, so that's why we are going with the what extension. Okay, extension tool, so that our end product would be a beautiful and unique as well. Okay, so that's why we are going with the extension DX components. Over here now in this, we will be having a what? Some core libraries we will be having. Okay, so core libraries means what? We will be having a pCore and pConnect public APIs. Now I will be explaining now what is pCore and pConnect APIs as well. Okay, so on short, I can say, so pCore and pConnects are nothing but a the public APIs. Okay, so which acts as a bridge between this custom and to our Pega Infinity server. Okay, they act as a bridge, I can say. Okay, so like APIs, obviously we can say, right? APIs is nothing but what, which transmits or which I can say which consumes the data from one place to another. Okay, they are nothing but, I can say, transformers, I can say. Okay, they used to transform the data or consumes the data from one place to another place. Like over here, what, from Pega Infinity server to they React or else Angular just components. Okay, so they acts as a bridge level kind of thing. Okay, now what is the purpose of the pCore and what is the purpose of the pConnect? I will be explaining with the crystal and clear examples in the later slides. Okay, so up to now, you got some idea, right? So why we need to use some extended DX components? Why? Because see here, obviously, as I said, as I iterated, if you want to make in a I can say a unique dish, obviously we need to make some components. We need to use some sort of unique tools, I can say. Okay, so that's why we need to use some extension DX components. Okay, in this part we will be having APIs. Okay, core APIs we will be having. Okay, so I will be explaining in the later slide. And coming to the fifth component, fifth stage, we will be having a Constellation DX API. Now, what is Constellation DX API? In this Constellation DX API, so this is nothing but this is the official confirmation. Okay, so this acts like a confirmation, I can say. Okay, which renders, for suppose if you are rendering the UI onto this some React based. Okay, now this makes as a I can say official confirmation. Okay, now what like if I term it as in a uh, restaurant. Okay, now this is nothing but what restaurants and the central management. Okay, now what is the metrics, okay, for each restaurant? Okay, what is the metrics and what is the cut rate, I can say, what is the revenue, I can say. Okay, each and every data. Okay, so which will be gathering from the what central management. Okay, from where from each and every restaurant, I can say. Okay, so this is nothing but what Constellation DX API, so which acts as a official communication system. Okay, between what, between this our Pega Infinity server and some other rendering like custom JS components. Okay, so right, and moving on to the sixth, we will be having a orchestration layer. Okay, now this is nothing but what, this acts like a head waiter of the chain. For suppose if you want to make some sort of orders. Okay, if you want to make some sort of orders, like what what the head waiter do. Okay, what a head waiter does actually. Okay, so they will monitor. Okay, so whether the each waiters are performing in a correct way or not. Okay, that's the main duty actually. Okay, so in order to make run in a smoother manner. Okay, so that's why Constellation orchestration orchestration layer is nothing but public API which responsible. Okay, which responsible to take care whether each and every elements, okay, each and every layer, okay, whether they are working in a proper manner or not. Okay, so this is a responsible layer, I can say. Okay, this is a main layer. Okay, so yeah, and moving on to the next segment, we will be having what Constellation managing service. Okay, messaging service, I can say. Messaging serving is nothing but what, communication. Okay, from where to where, obviously. So see here, so in this we will be having some sort of real-time updates. Okay, real-time updates. Okay, here in our Pega terminology, like if you are rendering onto the custom JX components or custom ReactJS components, AngularJS components, okay, obviously we need some messaging service in order to connect with them. Okay, from Infinity server to the particular third party. Okay, so those is nothing but what Constellation messaging services. Okay, so those are nothing but what we can say, restaurant. Okay, like communication. Okay, real-time updates and everything, those restaurant and as well as a management. Obviously restaurant owners, they are the responsible, right, to showcase the correct I can say revenue and cut off margin and everything to the management. Okay, so yeah, so that is the thing over here. Now here comes our front end. Okay, our fully customized front end. Okay, now you have taken the leverage of your own components, your own decisions, your own customizing way. Okay, so that's how you develop your own front end. Okay, your own front end actually. Okay, so here front end is nothing but what, if you are leveraging only the Pega components, that is nothing but what, Constellation Design Architecture, Constellation Design System. okay, but not if you are leveraging with the customized I can say UI. If you want to do that one, then you are taking leveraging of the other extra dependencies, I can say that that is nothing but third party, okay, some ReactJS components, okay. So if you are doing that one, obviously your front end will be unique way, okay. So this is how it looks actually, okay. Yeah, so these are the terms, okay, so which responsible for the I can say orchestration of the Pega constellation, okay. Now up to now you came to know, right, so how it renders, okay, so what are the differences between the constellation, and as well as if you want to develop our own app, okay, how we can do, and if you want to custom some other apps, now how they can do, how we can leverage those things, okay. We have a right now we have a minimum knowledge on these things, okay, right. So as I iterated, so I will be I said, right, so I will be explaining about the public APIs, right. So we will be having a pCore and as well as pConnect. So let's go ahead with this pCore and as well as pConnect. Okay, so now pConnect is nothing but what, like this, okay. So we have seen triple R movies, right? Yeah, so in the triple R movie, same like this, okay, some brothers kind of thing, okay. So this also same pCore and pConnect, okay. Now what are pCore and pConnect's APIs, okay. Let me take you into one scenario, okay. So what are the scenario? For suppose it's like a waiter, okay, waiter, okay. If any customer comes to their to your restaurant, for suppose, okay. Now the waiter curates your order, okay, and the visits to the kitchen, I can say, okay. And now once they prepare, or else once your recipe get prepared, right, now the waiter, okay, now I can say delivers that particular recipe to you. Now what, these waiters, okay, acts as a bridge between um, I can say that restaurant and as well as you, okay. Why? Because they act as a transmitter, okay. If you want to make some sort of customize, okay, if you want to make some sort of other requirement, okay. Now you need to communicate with the waiters, obviously. Why? Because obviously they are the point of contact, okay. Now it works in a both way, okay. So that's why these are nothing but public APIs, okay. In the same way, now what I have written, see here, now imagine a pCore and pConnector waiters in a restaurant, okay. Now if you take any sort of order, that is nothing but what, data request, okay. If you are requesting any sort of data, okay, now what happened to the Pega server, okay, to the Pega Infinity server. Now what it happened, now it takes your request and it gives back the data, it gives back the result, okay. So if you order some sort of sandwich kind of thing, okay, now this APIs comes in, okay. Now you are requesting a data, okay, that is nothing but sandwich, okay. Now the APIs are responsible to gives back a data, okay, nothing but result, that is nothing but sandwich, okay. So that's why I term it as a very simple manner, okay. So obviously that is nothing but API, okay. APIs is the main responsible, okay, which acts as a bridge between Pega server, Pega Infinity, Pega components, and as well as a React based components, okay, right. So coming to the main, or our Pega terminology, okay, we will be having a 4 points, okay. So in that, so for suppose, if you are rendering the UI, if you are developing an application with customized UI, okay. Now this pCore and pConnect APIs are the responsible, okay. So these two are the responsible APIs, okay. So which establish the communication between our server, our Infinity server, to the React or Angular JS based components, okay. So with the help of functions, okay, with the help of functions, okay. So we need to write few functions in order to make the established, in order to connect the establishment from uh, our Pega Infinity server to the Java, or else Java, I can say Java components, JavaScript component, JS components, okay. Now these APIs are the responsible thing, I can say, okay. Now how we can do, Now I said, right, four, the basics. Now first, connecting to the Constellation engine. Okay, right. Now our now your custom React components needs to establish. Now we need to write a function called pConnect.initialize. Okay, if you just invoke, or else if you just call this pConnect.initialize function, now it will what establish a connection between our server to the JS component server. Okay, so this is the first function I can say, in order to make the establishment, in order to make a communication between that. Okay, in order to access that, obviously we need access, right? So without access, how we can provide the data? Okay, so this is the first function I can say. And the second one, obviously we are establishing the context. Obviously we need some data. Obviously we need some data. Okay, if customer wants any sort of data, right, if they are asking any sort of sandwich, then obviously APIs are the responsible to brings back that CPI, brings back that result, bring back that sandwich. Over here as well, over here as well, we will be having a function, we will be having functions called get data value. Now which value? Property values. Now what it does, it retrieves the property value. It retrieves the property value from where? From our Pega Infinity server. Why? Why? Because we already established a connection to where? To Pega Infinity server. From where? From React or AngularJS components. So that means we are, means from React or custom JS components, once they send any sort of request to which platform? To our Pega Infinity server. From where? From using Pega pCore and as well as pConnect APIs. Using what? Using function. Now which function? So this is the function get data value. Now which value? Property value. Now what it does? It retrieves the data. Which value? Property value. Okay, so this is the function. Now if you want to set some sort of data, obviously you can do the update. Okay, retrieving, that is fun. Obviously if you have any sort of functions to update that thing, if you have a requirement to update any sort of value, obviously you can do with the function called set data value. Now what is that? Where you are doing property name in that data. So this is the function. Okay, right. Now you might be having some confusion, why we are using these functions, man. What is the necessity of the function? Why Pega using these functions? I will be explaining in a last note. Okay, yes. So this is the second point I can say. And the third, obviously you need some sort of trigger actions. If you click any sort of button or else some drop down kind of thing, if you want to make it some functionals, obviously you will be having some sort of like define action, action name, callback function. Okay, you need to call these type of functions which I have presented to you. Okay, so these functions are responsible to make any sort of call action, callback action, I can say fallback action, whatever it may be. Okay, so these are the few functions. Okay, so which are responsible to make any sort of action onto the UI. Okay, right. Now fourth one we can say, so now we will be having a rendering and integration with the Pega UI. Okay, now see here, now in this pCore and pConnect APIs both are there. Now what is pConnect? Pconnect is nothing but rendering the UI components, we can say. Okay, UI components, will be having a mini UI components, right? So they will be rendering that data. Now what does pCore? Pcore is nothing but local nothing but system application information and everything. Okay, we can say local. Okay, right. So this is nothing but what? Usage of the pCore and as well as the pConnect. So what it does, these both APIs will manage, will access, which gives back, which updates, which retrieves. Okay, so these are the things these APIs do. This API, this API does. Okay, so this is the C here. So this is the essence of that. Okay, so that's why I said this pCore and pConnect APIs are the public APIs which does everything. Okay, right. Now coming to the next, I can say, yeah, I promised to say that functions, right? What is the purpose of this function, man? Why we why Pega using these functions? Why Pega using these functions? Because in order to make the leverage of the reuse purpose. Okay, in Java we will be having a abstraction concept. Okay, if you understood that abstraction concept, okay, so now we will be having a very good knowledge on the functions as well. Okay, why we are using these functions and everything. Okay, right. So with the help of these functions, right, so we can easily reuse those actually. Okay, we can easily reuse those, and with the help of these functions we can get the data. Okay, you can establish the context, you can get the data, you can retrieve, so you can update, you can gives back and everything. Okay, so these are the usage of these functions actually. Okay, now I think you got some clear and clear idea, right? So how the Pega Pega Constellation design system works. Okay, right. So on the context, on the whole context, okay, I'll be finishing within a 2 seconds. For suppose what we will be having a predefined, that is nothing but OOTB. Okay, so which will be using a predefined libraries. That's it. Okay, perfect, completed. Now, if you want to make some unique UI, and if you want to develop your own application onto this some other JS kind of thing, JS components using like React or Angular. Okay, you can very well do with the alternate design system, because nothing but ADS. Okay, so with the help of this pCore and pConnect APIs, okay, so these APIs will help with the these APIs. What it does, it will manage the data, which will create the connection between, okay, our design systems, I mean the Pega Infinity server and their custom design systems. That is nothing but Pega. No, sorry, what JavaScript, JavaScript components. Okay, so finally pCore and pConnect are nothing but what, triple R kind of thing. That's why they are like brothers, I can say. Okay, so that's why I have used that image. Okay, so this all about Pega Constellation Design Systems. Okay, so if you have any sort of doubt, okay, so you can however, we have a chat box. Okay, so you can use that as well. Okay, so if you like this video, if you like this session, so please like and as well as share to our friend circle as well, so that we can grab more, we can enhance our skills towards the upgradation of the Pega skills as well. Coming days I will be preparing more concepts on the Constellation design systems as well. Okay, right. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Okay, yeah, so happy learning. Okay, so yeah, bye bye, take care.